Thank you. Okay, next speaker, Jim Schlau. Thank you, gentlemen. Happy Flag Day. And thanks for making it special.
Right. You put me on a spot.
You follow it respectfully.
Jim Slough, 415 Cliff Street, Central Islip. Thanks for the parking space outside for the veterans. I appreciate that.
Oh,
And
thank
I saw
Councilman
your,
Cochran and the rest of the town board that approved that.
And I saw the Memorial Day ceremony for the veterans. It was very good. Somebody give thanks to the Hibernian singers who did Anchors Away. I remember that when I was in boot camp. I'm done with that. Now over to the facts. Could you just show her these pictures? I just wanted to see what's going on here. You know, I never had to call the cops for many years until this neighborhood turned. I want those back. That's what happened to my yard. The neighbors sprayed them. I want those back because I got a dozer for court. Yeah. I can't. Then give them back. You can take these. These are, they tried to do something, but they failed. Clayton Street. They put up no parking signs. They totally ignored it. And I went to 2nd Avenue, and there's 2 pictures there. I saw a guy in a wheelchair, an elderly guy. I'm an elderly guy. Trying to make his way through the road. He's disabled. You know, I don't know. You got to make these streets one-way streets or something. They're so packed with cars. Now, at the last meeting, as a rebuttal, you said you can't wave a magic wand. You could help the police by doing something about these overcrowded houses. You know, I'm not going to live long enough to see it straightened out anyway because it's beyond your control, and you know it. I wish that instead of all of these things you go to, the whole board would get in your cars and drive around here on a weekend, Central Islip, especially over there by 111 where Luco used to be. I was talking to myself in my Jeep when I was driving through there saying, I can't believe how far this place sank. But those who say we're trying to help other people, you put too many people in a lifeboat and the lifeboat sinks. And CI and Brentwood are sinking. I don't care what you say. Remember, I'm in my house, I'm quiet, I'm reading the Wall Street Journal, and I'm listening to these loud music all the time. I'm not in my backyard blasting a stereo that you can hear a mile away. Keep that in mind. I'm the victim, not them. The police sometimes make them out to be the victim, and so do you. And the police also tell me that it's getting worse all the time around here and you should really leave. That's all I got to say right now.
Thank you. Deborah Kavanaugh.
Good afternoon. Deb Kavanaugh, 21 Walnut Street, Central Islip, New York, president of the Central Islip Coalition of Good Neighbors.
For some reason, the microphone just isn't loud enough today. If you could just talk right into it.
I'll try talking louder.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here to talk about the proposed laundromat that is going on Carlton Avenue across from the 7-Eleven. We realize that it's definitely going to go in. However, I do know that they need a parking relaxation code that the town board has to eventually vote on in a change of zone. And what we're asking is that you attach to the relaxation code for the parking a time limit in which the laundromat can be open. Reason why is in Central Islip, any laundromat that is located within the vicinity of a bodega, a 7-Eleven, or any place that sells alcohol attracts trouble. Just last Monday on Suffolk Avenue, the laundromat that has the police camera pointing directly at it had a stabbing in Central Islip. So what we're trying to avoid as a community is, one, not to bring that type of clientele onto Carlton Avenue, which the laundromats tend to attract. This laundromat is not just a laundromat, it's a laundromat with 2 additional storefronts, and it's 3 floors high, which the community, as the DRI, requested that nothing go more than 2 levels high. but this one is 3, and it's going to require supposedly 65 parking spaces, which I don't see happening in that area. And what we're concerned about is that because the laundromat wants to be open and on whatever the other 2 businesses come in want to be open to later hours in the evening, that there will be no place to park for the people who are renting the apartments. And we're going to have parking issues on Clayton Street, Ackerman, and Cliff Street, the streets that adjourn to either side of this laundromat. So as a community representative, we're just asking that if you do decide to give them the parking relaxation, which I'm sure you will, that you attach a time limit in which all the businesses can be open too, so that residents, when they come back in to park in the back parking lot so they can get into their apartments, actually have some place to park. And the one issue, I know when we did the DRI, that is a major issue in Central Islip. There is no parking on Carlton Avenue in Central Islip. That has been an issue from day one, and it was an issue when we discussed the DRI, which is why the community wanted nothing more than 2 levels high. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. JR, to the issue of restricting the hours that the laundromat can operate, I know this is something that I've discussed with you a number of times, and it's my understanding that we would have to change town code, or that we're not permitted to do that, regulate hours.
State law, it's regulated by the county. If there's an application before us, if we could tie it into the zoning, minimize some impacts based on the zoning, we could do that by covenant.
Okay, then we'll remember that when it comes before us.
A covenant that the applicant can agree to or not agree to, but if they choose to agree to it, that's their privilege. And ultimately, may want to do that in exchange for getting their application approved.
That's correct.
Thank you. Next speaker, Vincent Deckerick or DeCaris.
Deckers, thank you. Hi, my name is Vincent Deckers. I'm a native of Central Islip. My family moved here from Islip Hamlet in 1938. I'm a Vietnam combat veteran. I'm a post commander of Islandia Veterans of Foreign Wars, founded in 2015. I'm also a trustee in Central Islip Coalition of Good Neighbors. I graduated from Central Islip High School in 1965. I'm here to oppose the gas station that was going to be located by the Duck Stadium and Sousa Park. That's why I came out.
All right, well, there is no application before us for gas station. It's not a permitted use in that district.
Okay.
Am I correct? That's correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
See how effective you were? Thank you. Pat Montanino.
Pat Montanino, East Islip. I'm here today. All this talk about the money, not having enough money, and worrying about where it's all coming from. We have a board here who votes on things, items for the town, and they profit from them. Whereas we work hard, all these residents work hard, yet you sit up here, and Mr. Cochran, this is especially for you. You, Fire Island Ferries, you have business with. Islip Terrace Fire Department, you have business with. Central Islip Fire Department, you have financial business with. Brentwood Ambulance, you have financial business with. Exchange Ambulance, you have financial business with. Bayshore Fire Department, you have financial business with. Sayville Ambulance, you have financial business with. But yet you vote on all of these. You vote on the bonds, the millions and millions of dollars in bonds. And yes, I can back up everything I'm saying, and you know that when I stand here and talk, it's because I can back up what I'm saying. you insure the fire department vehicles that they work there. You do. They sent the paperwork. Fire Island Ferries, you just voted on them. But you have financial business, and you're the one that made the statement that you have the financial business. And just out of curiosity, where is the money coming from for the ambulance exchange to be done when only $6.5 million was allocated for it, yet it's over $8 million that it's going to come to for it? And as far as the animal shelter, that was only a $4.1 million bond, yet the animal hospital cost over $9 million. So the residents need to know, where's all this money going and coming from? And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And just for the record, no, and I'm not answering your question. This is called fact-checking. And if you look at the record, if you're going to keep shouting, you could leave. Just to straighten the record out, Councilman Cochran, on a regular basis, will recuse himself if there's any conflict or perceived conflict on any votes that come before him, as do the other members of the town board. Next speaker, John Tafe. Please. Go ahead, John. She doesn't mean to interrupt you.
Hello, John Tafe Savo. Today I would like to talk a little bit about zoning, planning, and Island Hills. First, I would like to thank Supervisor Carpenter, Councilman O'Connor, and Commissioner Dokenall, sorry if I said that wrong, for responding back to my letters. However, I think there needs to be a little bit more of an open line of communication between the planning department, town, and the residents of the community. In the past 3 months, I've called the planning department numerous times trying to gain information on various planned projects or zone changes to no avail. In fact, during one phone call, I was told that there would be no one that would be able to get back to me till after a planning meeting. I found this statement disappointing, as it was 2 days before a planning meeting, and the reason was that the senior planners were too busy. This seems like a constant pattern to me, and one of great concern, because I feel that I'm less important than the developers in the planning department, or at least it seems that way. I would also like to highlight my concern with the changes to the zoning code, specifically the change in the PDD district to a maximum FAR as the unit density limit instead of units per acre for senior assisted living. That was, I think, being voted on today. I also sent a letter to the planning commissioner stating our continued concern about Island Hills, and she encouraged me to do further research, and I would like to say that I will continue to do as much research as I can on Island Hills and zoning codes. And to continue with Island Hills, I want to thank everyone, every single person on the town board and the whole town for denying the original plan at the December meeting. We greatly appreciate it. However, Reckler has stated they are working on a new plan, and we want to make it explicitly clear that we are against any zone change except for one that has exclusively single-family homes and green space. And we will continue to make sure the stance is heard loud and clear in the media during the election season and in general. So in total, I just really think there needs to be a little bit more of an open line of communication, and I would be very happy to facilitate it or help out just between the planning, because as you can see, sometimes we're misinformed, and it would be so much better if we can get the facts from the planning department as easily as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Can I just say one thing? So, John, on today's agenda, item number 41 is an authorization for the town clerk to set a public hearing for proposed changes of zone that will come before this board at a future public hearing. So watch the town board calendar. When that public hearing is held, we have them routinely. I'm amazed that nobody shows up and voices their concern publicly. There will be a public hearing. You will have an opportunity to be heard. Come forward on that day with whatever proposed changes are in the proposed town code and voice your concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We appreciate your interest in being informed. Just to remind you and everyone that the department works very, very hard, and they, will, when appropriate, respond to any questions, but there's an awful lot of work to do and an awful lot of applications to review and approve, et cetera. But as the councilman said, the public hearings are your opportunity to really learn and find out what's going on. The developers make their presentations, they bring their traffic experts, et cetera, and then the public has an opportunity to come forward and raise any issues that they have. Then the developer comes back and has to answer those questions. So it really is a very open, transparent, wonderful opportunity for someone who's as interested in you and learning. Thank you. Next speaker, Joshua Chan.
Hello, Ms. Carpenter. Hello, board. I just wanted to come out here to say who we are.
Joshua, can you just pull up the microphone so we could hear you better?
Is better?
Thank you.
My name is Joshua Chan, and I want to say I'm president of the Youth Advisory Board for District 1, Brentwood, Central Islip, and North Bay Shore. We're an independent organization of the councilman and everything. I'm so glad to meet you. My name is Joshua. And the other two people that are going to speak after me, they're not here. They had to leave, and they feel more comfortable with me speaking on their behalf. So don't worry about the next two people.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to say I'm coming here just to, the board was formed in general by Ahmad Perez, separate of the councilman. I want to state that. And we were formed to help bridge the gap between our Latino family that is hard for them to get civically engaged. And it's not anyone's fault. That's, they're different. They're scared to speak up, and that's on them, right? So we're here to help bridge that gap. The youth are the ones that go to the school. They might be the first ones born here, the only ones that speak English. So we want to be the ones that help them and their parents understand things by going to the youth. And that's why we were formed in general. I've been wanting for years to have a board that is able to get Brentwood civically engaged, and that's why we were created, so that we can get to the students and say, hey, you know what, we understand that you might be the first one born here, and we want to make sure your parents know this information as well. So if you go to them and get to them, you'll be able to bring this information back home. That's why we're here, and we want to foster a dialogue between what we do here in our advisory board and what happens at the town level. So we do have a letter to request a meeting, if you would like to take it. We have one for every council person here.
Sure.
I can give it to you at the end, but I have a little more to say. I want to say, I think I don't want to apologize for anything, but I do want to say I do want to, going forward, to continue our dialogue between all of us. I think at the end of the day, we all want to talk about unity, and we will focus on unity. But at the end of the day, we are going to be the ones that help motivate the youth. You see the youth going out there for BLM, Pride Month, everything, all these social movements. We're the next generation. Gen Z will change the world. We're the ones that tackling depression, anxiety, and climate change. That's who we are. So, we want nothing stopping us, and we want to foster that dialogue and have you join that with us. Everyone here, of course. Perhaps one of the plans we're having is having a youth board at every single council district, so everyone knows here what their own youth want. And for us, one thing that we're focusing on was the park. Glad to see it's finally finished. Thank you for everyone who helped get that done. And we're glad to see that park get done. And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and moving forward, we can have an open dialogue with everyone here. So that Brentwood, CI, Sayville, every part of the town has their youth in part of the process, just like this young man who spoke before. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua. And I'd encourage you to reach out to our youth board. We have a youth advisory board, and they're always looking for youth members, and it would be a wonderful opportunity, and you would network with the head of the Youth Bureau and the other adults that are working on youth issues, so it's a really good opportunity, and I certainly can empathize with how you feel, because I, too, am a first-generation American. Next speaker, Jason, is he not wanting to speak? Okay. And Destiny also? Okay. Ken Kolodickney?
Good afternoon, Ken Kolonicky from Durham Road in Sayville, 42-year resident of the area. I live about 150 feet from the Island Hills project, and I just want to respectfully remind everyone up there that the Stop Island Hills group is still alive and well. It's been kind of quiet since their proposal was turned down, and we're alive and well. We're about 2,500 members, and everyone I speak to is not in favor of the project because of the over-urbanization of the area, the town, the environmental impacts, and our quality of life in a residential area involving building such a city amongst us. I just wanted to say that we're still out there and we're still opposed to the project.
Thanks, Ken. Happy to see you. Next speaker, Kathy McConnell.
Hi, I'm Kathy McConnell. I live on Secatog Lane in West Islip, and I want to thank the supervisor and the board for allowing me to speak. I did come here to talk about the apparently administrative problem that occurred because with the Pride Flag event. It is Flag Day, as we know. It was wonderful to hear that young girl speak about the importance of the flag to her. And it does mean freedom. The Pride flag also is a flag that means freedom, hard-fought freedom that a lot of people suffered for decades, centuries. And I think this country's made a turn that is so positive. And we see Pride celebrations everywhere. I mean, the Rangers have a Pride night. You know, the Yankees have a Pride night. Babylon has a parade, you know. Huntington has a parade. And I'm glad to hear that the reason there was a problem with unveiling the Pride flag was just an administrative misunderstanding. And these things do happen. But I just want to say that the acceptance of this flag is really an acceptance. It's a flag of love and acceptance, and denying the ability to show this flag comes from a place of fear and hate and bigotry. And I would have been very sad to think that the town I lived in was a town that embraced those very negative values. I'm glad to hear it's a town that is embracing the values of unity and understands the richness of the diversity, especially since gay communities have been an economic engine for the town for many years because of the summer communities on Fire Island, which come through our towns. So I'm delighted to have learned more about this, and I would like to make the suggestion that the town actually make some plans next year for some kind of Pride event because of all the great things that the town has done. I mean, the Senior Citizen Center, I was aware of that, and I think that's a wonderful thing and that was really a need. So I'm very happy that the town was instrumental in getting that done. But why not have a Pride event, you know, and an unveiling of the flag? I don't know if there would, the proper thing would be a parade or something else, but I think there should be an acknowledgement since everybody else acknowledges. I see my time is up. I just wanted to hand to you, my background, by the way, is as a wildlife biologist, and I studied animal behavior. And a really great book has just come out called Queer Ducks and Other Animals, The Natural World of Animal Sexuality, because so far there have been over 1,500 species that have been found to have homosexual, bisexual, transsexual relationships. There are even species that start out as one sex and then end up being another. It's a wild world out there for sexuality, and I'd like to pass that on to the supervisor and the board. It's very entertaining. It's written for the layman, and I think you would enjoy it and learn a lot. So.
Thank you very much for coming down, Kathy, and I don't think any of us disagree with a lot of what you said today. On the agenda today, we have a resolution formally establishing or reestablishing what was the Anti-Bias Task Force into the Unity Council, just as an opportunity for us to bring all groups together and really unify the town, and that might be something that they want to think about doing. So thank you. Next speaker is Clarence O'Connor. Oh, there he is.
Clarence O'Connor, 14 Fairway Court, Bay Shore. I'm here in regards to Southwood Hope Country Club, who within the last, since 2018, has been violating the town of Islip's noise ordinance. Town Ordinance 35-4, Section B, subsection 3, which states noise from the operation of domestic equipment such as lawn or garden devices equipment, leaf blowers, etc., can only be used between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. As per subsection B, this is regardless of the decibel level. So, as per the town code, it is illegal to run this equipment except within those hours. Since July of 2018, I've been putting in noise complaints to the town of Islip Public Safety, and I have the police complaints to back it up. I got probably 25, 30 of them here. To back it up, regarding Southwood Hill Country Club, running mowers and blowers starting at 5 a.m. in the morning, at least 3 days a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, several times on Saturdays. In the fall, this usually goes to 6, 7 days a week so they can blow the leaves off the course. Every time I have called the public safety, I was told I must call Suffolk County Police, even though this is a town ordinance. As per the town dispatcher, Suffolk County Police are supposed to enforce the code. I have come to find out that Suffolk County Police do not write tickets on this code, and there is obviously nothing they can do, as it is a town code and not a Suffolk County code. And speaking with the town dispatch, they refuse, and I repeat, refuse several times to send anyone out to enforce this code. Instead, as per town code, I need to go out and file an affidavit along with at least one of my neighbors and have them notarized, present to the town attorney, who will then decide if they will prosecute. If they decide to proceed, I and my neighbor must go to the court and fight this. This process could take months. So essentially, what the town has done is made the citizens responsible for enforcing the town code. If this is the case, we do not need town code enforcement, Town of Islip Public Safety, or park rangers. Why do we pay these employees if they will not enforce the code? Apparently, all they are glorified media maids to line the pockets of the town of Islip. Parking violations do not affect the quality of life of the residents. Issues like this do. The job of the town and elected officials is to preserve the quality of life of the residents. It is beyond my comprehension as to why the town refuses to send out an officer to at a minimum, verify the resident's complaint, if not, to write a ticket to the offending party. The town wants to completely wash their hands of this by pushing it to Suffolk County Police. I cannot think of too many
Thank
other
you.
code violations that can affect the quality of life of the residents more than the noise violation.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Your time is up, but I would ask that you step out in the hall. The Commissioner of Public Safety is here, and perhaps he can go into this with you a little further as to why or why not they weren't dispatched when you requested them.
Also,
Thank
we
you.
are in the process of amending our noise code, and I believe it should probably be before the board in August.
So we'll have that public hearing held first.
Yeah, well, the July
it's
meeting
going
will
to-
probably authorize the town clerk to advertise, hold a public hearing in August.
So it will make it easier for us to act on those complaints. The need for an affidavit by neighbors, correct? Is that what's being eliminated? Yeah. So it'll make it a lot easier to make those complaints and have them acted on.
There's nothing in the code that says you cannot send town code enforcement out there.
I didn't say it was. Okay. No, we're talking about something entirely different. But the Commissioner, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Please. Thank you. You can send it. Absolutely. 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 Give it to the Commissioner.
And John, can I have a call back?
Okay, Susan Pellegrino?
Susan Pellegrino, here to speak on behalf of the Central Islip Coalition of Good Neighbors. But before that, I did want to recognize that at the 3rd Precinct meeting last Tuesday, Inspector and also Councilman Guadron did mention that there were changes coming in the amendments to the town noise ordinance. So we're thrilled to hear that, and we hope it is easier to get these complaints addressed by the town or Suffolk County Police. With regards to the laundromat, Our coalition is opposed to this laundromat. We understand that there's a possibility or likelihood that it will be approved. But to give a brief overview, we are 30 years into a revitalization of Central Islip, and this falls within our main downtown area. This will be the third laundromat within just a little over an eighth of a mile. We know that laundromats exist in every community to some size and scale because everyone's, their washing machine or dryer is going to break down at some point. But 3 laundromats, this is confirmation that the disproportionately high transient population that we have in Central Islip will continue and is growing. I have on good authority that since September of 2021, we have had 1,000 new students enter our school district. And this happens month after month. We just get continued enrollment and increase in population. But this laundromat, again, as community members said before, we have the 3rd precinct looking into a laundromat for years because of the kinds of activity that goes on there. Across the railroad tracks is another laundromat with a dry cleaner. And it is just, it's heartbreaking to know that this is all we seem to attract. I mean, no other downtown revitalization, Bayshore, Patchogue, we know that these are different communities to some extent. Farmingdale, Westbury, no one has 3 laundromats in their downtown area. So I just really hope that you consider that and the future of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Wumi Green.
No.
Good afternoon.
Hear me. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good afternoon, all, and thank you for having us here today. I am Wumi Green. I am a resident of Central Islip for the past 30-something years now. Don't try to guess my age.
You're just a kid.
So I am here to speak on the proposed laundromat as well. Central Islip has been through so many issues, and laundromat is one of them. As we all know, laundromats brings negative elements to the community, especially in that area. That corner has been a problem for us for many years. Thank God for the 3rd precinct that helped us along the last 10, 15 years or so, because it's right across from 7-Eleven, which also attract drug dealing and prostitutions. So with the police department and the community watch that we formed, we were able to at least clear so we can have a peace of mind and be able to go to sleep at night because of the drug dealing and the prostitution that goes on right across the street from that area of that laundromat. So I was very sad to know that this laundromat will be there. I know there's nothing we can do about it now. I do appreciate you considering the parking relaxation code, but please, the hours of operation is very, very important to us. I live down the street from there, and I've lived there. I raised my children there. Yes, we did well, but that's not because it just happened by magic. That's because of so much work of parents put in, and not even letting your children go out there on the street to play or even go to the 7-Eleven. So it's really bad there. We live there, and we know what goes on there on a regular basis. So it is so important to us that we don't come back to where we were years ago and start all over again with the drug dealing and the prostitution. This is what happens. The other laundromat she was speaking about, she's very right. There's a camera there daily being watched by the police department every day because of all the drug dealing and the prostitution and the crimes that goes on. This is another one, and we just praying that, do we have to move now? The entire block, this is a community watch that we formed, and we did so well. Do we need to move? But this is not going to happen again. So please consider something to be done. The hours of operation is so important. We appreciate you. We thank you. We thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Leanne Bards.
Good afternoon, Town Board. Can you hear me?
We can.
No, I'm short, so I have to move it. I appreciate you clarifying the flag parade. Leanne Barty, 51 East Locust Street, Central Islip, New York. I appreciate you clarifying the pride flag incident. I would hope in the future that if something like that comes up, a suggestion is how to rectify it before something gets canceled or moved could maybe happen. But overhearing about the laundromat, and as a Central Islip resident, I have to double back on what they're saying, that time and time again, we keep getting the same things. And I don't know if it's because we don't have a member on the, of the planning board that lives there, but how many laundromats does one community need? At the end of the day, when we sat down as a group and we all voted for the renovation of the downtown area, we were asking to emulate other townships that were uplifted. Bayshore, Patchogue, we need nightlife, places to go, things to do. In order to have any kind of date night with my husband, I have to leave where I live. I can't add money into the economy where I live. No jobs are getting created. I've worked in a laundromat. You need like maybe 2 people at most. In the area that I live, I keep getting the same businesses, more and more development, more and more traffic, more and more students in my overcrowded school district, and nothing that brings money into the community. Patchogue is what it became, and Bayshore became what it is because you had to actually go there. People from outside of those areas go into those areas to have a good time and spend money. CI and Brentwood need pieces of that. The one area of Carlton Avenue where we had the most space to take on traffic, we're putting like the 5th or 6th housing development with no mixed use. It's just more housing, more apartments on top of the 4 or 5 that are already there. There has to be a point where we get some traffic help because Carrollton Avenue is a mess, Suffolk Avenue is a mess, 5th Avenue is a mess, and something of nightlife that brings money in. We are keeping ourselves afloat because we don't have any kind of tax money coming in from any kind of industrial complex like Hop Hog has, and we have next to no businesses that are thriving because we are getting laundromats. At some point, we have to deviate from the usual script that gets assigned to CI and Brentwood if it's ever going to change the narrative and the direction it's headed. Thank you for your time. I would happily work with you on this because this is my home. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you, Leanne, and we appreciate your activism. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and part of the impetus for the town being so aggressive in going after that DRI grant so many years ago now, it took 3 strikes at the apple, if you will, to get the approval for that $10 million grant, and then unfortunately COVID hit. But we're at a good point now, and part of the reason is the fact that we didn't have that sewer connection. And as hard as we tried to get the DRI people at the state to understand how important connecting to the sewer was to get the kind of uses you're talking about, to get the restaurants and the nightlife, isn't going to happen unless you have sewers. So we were able to get permission to use $2 million of that $10 million towards the sewers. And with the cost of everything going up, supply chain issues and everything, a sewer connection that was supposed to cost a couple of $1 million now is probably close to about $10 million. But we were fortunate to secure some grant funding, and we've been working very closely with the county, and we will be moving forward. The fact that we have that sewer connection, you are going to be seeing more appropriate uses. We have a new planning commissioner who is very, very bright when it comes to kind of visioning the kinds of things that we can do there, and just stay tuned. It is going to get better. Next speaker is Desiree Thomas. No Desiree. Okay. Steve Rombach?
I wish to address the town council. On my parents' property, I'm storing some bicycles and stuff, and apparently my neighbor next door to me has been complaining to the town. In fact, they've been actually trying to push me around a little bit. My grass grows a little too long and stuff. So things take time to get fixed, lawnmowers and stuff when you first go to use them, or even during the course of the year they can break. I do have some stuff there, and my father and actually me, who are known as the important people of the United States, we help bring actually jobs to small business by supplying machinery and helping build their small businesses, which I'm actually in the process of. One of the reasons I have stuff on the property is to actually go back into that business and to raise the money for it. And my father actually from last year unfortunately had a stroke, He had a brain tumor. He just recently died. My mother is mentally incompetent, and so I can get no help with the house from either parent. That's one. What I'd like is the town board issued in order to have the property cleared out. I'd like that vacated for the time being. I need time to actually work on. I am actually cleaning the property up. I am working on it. It's just going to take time. I know my neighbors will allow me to do something the town won't allow me to do, probably, as I can put up a structure to put things in, bigger than what town code is for the time being. But that's the way I can handle that, and I know the neighbors like to overly complain, which they shouldn't be, as well. And actually, even I've also told actually the town council that, the attorneys about this, because it relates to national security, it relates to jobs, it relates to the entire town structure, the tax structure of the town, everything the town does. It needs small businesses, it needs manufacturing. If we don't have that, we don't have a town anymore or a country. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. That is it. May I have a motion to close the public hearing? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is someone? Yeah, certainly, come forward. After what you did today, absolutely you have permission to come forward.
Sorry to hold up the end of your meeting, but I felt compelled to come back, Madam Speaker. When I spoke before, I mentioned, you guys had mentioned that there was a $450,000 shortfall in the park, and I told you that I had secured that money based on the good work of that young man that was here. And I was called a liar by Mr. Guadron. He said that that was not the truth. I submit to you, for the record, Madam Supervisor, a letter from the Speaker of the House acknowledging that the money, $450,000 that I secured, is destined for the town of Islip for the skate park.
And thank you for clarifying.
Thank you very much, and I hope my words were heeded as far as being effective and keeping politics out of delivering for our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.